We're here on a half-decent Friday afternoon in front of the Scotiabank Theater again. And this is Jake and Jacob.
And I'm Jacob. And we're going to go see 12 Strong.
Starring the dreamy Chris Hemsworth.
Ooh.
All right, let's go.
Why these men follow you?
Take me to the Taliban, I'll show you.
Okay, we take horses.
You serious?
All right, who's ridden before? Anyone?
Cancun, spring break. Goes pretty hammered.
Hey, this will be fun.
We just finished watching 12 Strong. Typically, I'm not a fan of the war genre in anything, as more in particular when it comes to modern war. So, like anything kind of focusing on the Middle East or things like that. This was like a 2.5 hour long movie. Outside of explaining the plot, it was mostly about like airstrikes, like the reaction post 9/11, that kind of thing.
Take that from you. This movie is called 12 Strong. 12 Strong. I can only name 3. It's Michael Pena, Michael effing Shannon, and Chris Hemsworth, Mr. Dreamy. All the other characters in the movie I don't remember. You don't really get any bond, and that is probably my biggest problem with this movie. There is no bond, there's no relationship. There's little tiny moments, but the movie focuses way too much on the airstrikes, everything that's being set up against all the different like militia and army. But this movie should have been about what was going on with the 12 strong men. Not to have that paraphrased or taken out of context, but that's what the movie should have been about. This is a true story about military men going into war and their bonds and their relationships and the crippling factor of this being so close after 9/11. They go in, and this movie is absolutely weightless. There is no weight to this movie. I don't feel any care to any of the characters, live or die, and I didn't really know what the real story about this is, so I didn't know who was gonna live or die, and I really didn't care. This movie made me not care, and it's 2 hours and 10 minutes long, and it is just them constantly calling, hey, can you give an airstrike? Hey, can you give an airstrike? This movie's all boom, no bite. That is a real phrase. There is some good acting from Michael Shannon, because it is Michael Shannon. This movie does look good. It has very Michael Bay explosions, but it's just so boring.
By the end of it, I was pretty bored, but going through it from the start, I thought I was going to be bored, expecting that from a generic kind of war movie. But they kind of made a plot simple enough, whereas with these kind of modern war movies, it's easy to make it very complicated with what's going on and all different sides between like Al-Qaeda, talking about the Taliban, all that kind of shit. But no, they made it pretty simple. I mean, like Jacob said, it's about airstrikes, which I can see how it kind of got repetitive, but in a way, I feel like airstrikes, most people don't, like, you always hear about airstrikes, don't really know, like, what is the cause and, like, why are they happening? And now you're like, okay, now this is pretty much what modern war is. They're going in, getting as close as they can to a certain point, calling airstrikes. You really don't care about the characters. The action sequences, though, are pretty well done. I mean, they were entertaining for what they were. Although, after, like, once we got, like, the 5th one, they kind of all felt the same, more or less. There was a few pretty like intense scenes, particularly focusing on like Al-Qaeda and like, you know, some of the practices they go through when it comes to like just regular civilians. So that stood out to me more than anything else. But overall, like, there's nothing really like nothing surprised me about the movie. There was nothing groundbreaking.
You know what's groundbreaking? I love a good war movie that likes to show that slow motion trail off horse scene. You know, the big battle sequence, because we haven't seen enough of those in war movies. I'm being really rude. I know I'm being really rude about this movie.
No, it hits all the cliches.
It hits cliches. There's nothing new in this movie, and I wasn't expecting anything new. This isn't, you know, a Saving Private Ryan. This isn't a Hacksaw Ridge. This is a Call of Duty live action. It stars Chris Hemsworth. Like, it's Call of Duty live action. You're gonna like it. That's the best thing I'll say to this movie. This is a good Netflix movie. It's a movie that you don't need to really pay attention to. You can leave the room, come in, grab your food, come in, do whatever you want. You're just there for the explosions, and that's okay, I guess.
I feel like today you can't say this is a good Netflix movie because Netflix has some really good shit.
This is a good non-Netflix original movie. This is a good movie that you just throw on, like, oh, look, this movie's on here. I wanted to see it. You throw it on, and then you just check your phone a lot.
It's a good movie for your dad who's a fan of war movies. I hate, like, Chris Hemsworth's American voice.
It's pretty,
like, I guess, like, it's how his voice normally sounds, but especially when he's putting on the American accent, he's just, like, it sounds like he's, like, talking into, like, a tube the whole time. He's like, all right, guys, now I'm going to do that. Except it doesn't sound that bad. Anyways, what are you going to give this movie?
There's a lot of lows, and the fact that it's really boring and repetitive. But the good is there is people who are going to enjoy this movie. It has some good action sequences, and there's some fun characters, Michael Pena and Michael Shannon, the Michaels. I think I'm going to give this a 6.
I'm going to give it a 6.5.
That was our review on 12 Strong, and this has been...
This is Jake and Jacob.
And I'm Jacob. Subscribe.
If anyone wants to see what we're looking at, check this out. There's a dog park across from us. Look at all those doggies.